We thought that being the first Crossroads for the year, we thought that we'd start at the start of the Bible, and we thought that we'd start with
Genesis 1:1.
Genesis 1:1.
In the beginning, God created heavens and earth.
Give it We can even put that up on the screen if we want. So we thought we'd say this. Basically, we had a chance to make some things that were really, in the big scheme of things, pretty easy to make compared to all the amazing things that God made. Really, when you look at it, to make if you look at those things that we made and ask yourselves questions like, can they breathe? Can they see? Can they reproduce? Can they? All these questions that we can ask about things that God's made, and the answer is no, because it's Play-Doh. So basically, when I look at creation, I basically look at it and see God's amazing power. The fact that He can make something amazing out of nothing is just incredible to me. And so, I guess it goes to, you go to look at it, and it's often pretty hard to look outside of creation, and people try and find ways to explain it away as something that, because they don't want to believe in God, or they don't think that God is powerful enough to be able to create something so amazing, so they try and explain it away. And so they tell us that we would need such amazing faith. And that's right, we do need faith to believe in God, we do need faith to believe in creation. But what I don't like is people who walk around saying that as Christians I have a blind faith. And I've heard it a lot, especially around university and stuff. I get people telling me that as a Christian I must have blind faith, because otherwise I could not look at science and say this is actually the truth. But that's so not the way I look at it, because I look at myself as having more of like, instead of a blind faith, an educated faith. Because I've looked at the science behind it, I've looked at all the stuff behind it, and I'm not going to go into all the proofs for creation and stuff, because that would get kind of boring, and I'd be here for like days, because I really enjoy it. And for those of you who want to talk to me about it, sweet, because to show kind of the excitement I had for it. I don't know if you guys know my reading habits, but there are, some of you laugh, so you do, and it's pretty non-existent. But except for the Bible, they're normally pretty non-existent. But I bought a book about, I bought a book on Thursday, which I've read 200 pages of already. The book is, and I have to line up for people who want to read it after me, so if you want to join that line, that's cool too.
How many say?
Including you.
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a book called Case for a Creator, and basically it goes through all the scientific evidence behind creation, and how, actually if we look at it, and even when they put in all the other scientific things that, you probably know this. Yeah, I'll put you on the list too. It's made me really excited, because the excitement of even these other theories that people come up with, basically what it's saying is basically these other theories that people come up with, they still need something to start it all off anyway, and they still need God to make them work. So, I mean, that's basically the basic gist of what it goes into, and it's really, really exciting. And it shows me that, like, one of the comments that it made was that actually people would take more faith to believe in the other theories of evolution and all these other things that people put out there. They'd take more faith to believe in that than it would take faith to believe in God as an amazing creator who can create everything, which I agree with, because that's what my educated faith is based around. So faith is something that we're going to be looking at quite a bit here at Crossroads this year. It's we're kind of trying to base this year at Crossroads on Hebrews chapter 11, which if any of you know how it goes, it's basically the story of the Hall of Faith, it's sometimes called, where there's heaps of awesome guys from, especially from the Old Testament, that have done great things by faith. And so we're looking at that a little bit this year. So I thought it'd be cool if we started off with basically where my faith is grounded. And yeah. So I've gone through heaps more of this than I thought I had. But basically what I come back to when I look at creation is is whether I'm going to believe a scientist who wasn't there, who isn't perfect, and who makes mistakes, or a God who was there, who doesn't make mistakes, and who is perfect. And that ends up being a pretty easy decision for me. Hopefully it proves to be an easy decision for you guys too. It probably won't to start with, because it does take some faith, but I'm just encouraging you that it's not a blind faith, it's an educated faith, and hopefully we can get to that. So I've got a couple of verses to put up. The first one was that one that Caleb said. You got that there, Sam? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And I heard an awesome comment on this about faith and stuff, and about how if we can have faith in this verse in the Bible, the first verse in the Bible, and I reckon that's why it's the first verse in the Bible, if we can have faith in that verse, then the rest of the Bible proves pretty easy to get your head around, because there's not really many greater miracles than creating a universe. It becomes easier for us to see that God could raise His Son from the dead if we can see that He made the whole universe in which He came into. And all the other miracles that we see going on in the Bible, they prove a lot easier to understand if we take the assumption that actually God created everything, so He's got power over it. And so that's why I started off talking about power a little bit. And I've got another verse which I thought was really cool. A couple of verses actually, which basically talks about, and we're almost done. So the other verse is from Genesis 1, verse 26, and a little bit more. It says, "And God said, let us make man in our image, and after our likeness, and let them have dominion over all the fish in the sea, over all the birds of the heavens, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth on the earth." Keep going. "And God created man in His own image. In the image of God, God created them, male and female, He created them." And there's a little bit more. "And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." Basically, a couple of things that I want us to be able to take out of that is the first thing, that God, if we look back at that first verse, verse 26, this is the one time that we see that God actually sort of, I don't want to say thinks about something before He creates it, but He actually verbalizes that He's actually thinking about what He's making. For everything else He says, let there be light, let there be fish in the sea, let there be animals on the land and stuff. But here God says, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. And He goes through this whole verse, and then He does it. So He actually verbalizes that He's actually thinking about this. And that shows me that we have a specific purpose. We are actually specially set apart, which we all know. We're set apart from everything else that God created. We're more special. And we see up there all the things that God thinks our purpose is, to have dominion over the fish of the sea and all those other things, to rule over the earth. And so that's one of our great purposes. So isn't it cool that we can get from right at the start of the Bible and already be able to work out one of our main purposes? I reckon another one was to increase in number. And that was one that came up in verse 28. It was another of our main purposes. And another one, and I think this comes up in the whole thing, that we are created in the image of God to be in a relationship with Him. I've never seen God, so I'm not sure what He looks like, but I don't think that being created in the image of God means that means that we look like Him. It means that we've been created to be in a relationship with Him. And so that's what I want to leave you with tonight, is that we are made to live in a relationship with God, and anything short of that is basically selling ourselves short, which no one really wants to do. We are extraordinary and special above everything else in creation. This is a cool quote I got. Because we are made in the image of God. Part of Him is in you. Which I thought was pretty cool. And I thought it was worth talking about.